Sure, hell is a place for total torment, but it's also old-fashioned. Time to spruce things up a bit. The Hades Business by Pratchett. Read by Karl. Crucible opened his front door and stood rooted to the doormat. Imagine the interior of a storm cloud, sprinkled liberally with ash and garnished with sulphur to taste. You have a rough idea of what Crucible's front hall resembled. The smoke is coming from under the study door. Deeply remembering a filmy one scene, Crucible clapped the handkerchiefs to his nose and staggered to the kitchen. One bucket of water later, he returned. The door would not budge. The phone was in the study, so as to be handy in an emergency. Putting down the pail, Crucible applied his shoulders to the door, which remained closed. He proceeded to the opposite wall of the hall, his eyes streaming. Gritting his teeth, he charged. The door opened of its own accord. Crucible described a graceful arc across the room, ending in the fireplace. Then everything went black, literally and figuratively, and he knew no more. Herd of elephants were doing the square dance in clogs on Crucible's head. You could see a hazy figure kneeling over him. Here, drink this. Ah, health-giving joy juice. Invigorating stagger soup. Those elephants, having changed into slippers, were now dancing a sedate waltz. The whiskey was having the desired effect. Crucible opened his eyes again and regarded the visitor. Who the devil are you? That's right. Crucible's head hit the grate with a hollow clang. The devil picked him up and set him in an armchair. He was wearing a sober black suit with a red carnation in the buttonhole. His thin waxed mustachios, combined with a minute beard, gave him a dignified air. A cloak and collapsible top hat were on the table. Crucible knowing what happened. After 10 years of pricing cash from the unsuspecting businessman, one was bound to be caught. He rose to his feet, brushing the soot from his clothes. Shall we be going? He asked mournfully. Going? Where to? The other place, I suppose. The other but... Oh, you mean home? Good heaven... Oh, pardon me. Hell, no. No one's come down there for nearly 2,000 years. Can't think why. Now I've come to you because I need some help down there. The whole business is just not paying. No more lost souls. Only chap that's gone down there for the past 2,000 years was a raving nit named Dante. Went away with quite the wrong impression. You ought to have heard what he said about me. I did read something about it somewhere. Indeed. Bad publicity for me, that. That's where you come in. Oh? Crucible picked up his ears. Yes, I want you to advertise hell. Clumsy. You're supposed to drink all over the carpet. Well, why me? Croaked Crucible. You are the owner of the Square Deal Advertising Company, are you not? I want you to make the public conscious, hell-wise. Not for an eternization, of course, just day trips, etc. Grand tour of hell and all that. If I refuse, what would you say to £10,000? Goodbye. 20,000? I suppose she gives you some tasks, sand ropes and all that? The devil looked angry. 40,000 is my last offer. Besides, the devil pressed the tips of his fingers together and smiled at the ceiling. There are some rather compelling facts about the Payne Smith Products case which we could make public. Now you're speaking my language. £40,000 and hush about the P&S case? Yes. Done. I'm so glad you see it my way, said the devil. Crucible seated himself behind his mahogany desk and took out a pad. He indicated a polished silver box. Cigarette? Thanks. Crucible took a cigarette himself and felt for his lighter. Suddenly a thought struck him. How do I know you are, old Nick? The devil shuddered. Please. Nicholas Lucifer to you? Well, I know about the P&S case, don't I? Crucible's eyes gleamed. Maybe it's some smart-aleck dick. Convince me. Go on, convince me. Okay, you asked for it. By the way, the gun in your left-hand pocket will be useless against me. The devil leaned nonchalantly, extending a finger towards Crucible. See, you're a phony. A low-down... Crack! A bolt of lightning shot across the room. The other Crucible cigarette glowed. I'm convinced. So glad. Crucible became his old self. Let's get down to business. I take it you want hell to be exploited in every possible way? Yes. Afraid I can't do much until I've seen the place. From the living point of view, you understand. Quite. Well, I could take you back with me, but that might be a hair-raising experience for you. Tell you what, if you wait at the corner of the street at, shall we say, 8 o'clock this evening, I could pick you up and we could walk there. Okay? Right. I'll be seeing you then. Cheerio. Poof. He was gone. The room was again filled with sulphurous smoke. Crucible opened the windows and then closed them again. If some busybody saw the smoke, he would have a hard time explaining to the fire brigade just why there was no fire. He strolled into the kitchen and sat down thoughtfully. He wished he had read more fantasy. In wishing the devil minds his own business, Crucible was thinking along the same lines as certain other beings. What he differed was the reason. Crucible opened the fridge and took out a can of beer. Having someone running around loose, and those about things one would prefer to keep to oneself, is dangerous. Crucible's love of money warred with his love of freedom. He wanted that 40,000 pounds, but he did not want Lucifer running around loose. Suddenly, the perfect solution struck him. Of course, why not? He grabbed his hat and hurried out to the local church. Crucible stood in the pouring rain at the corner of the street. A small stream of water was coursing down his back and flooding his suedes. He looked at his watch. 1 minute to 8 o'clock. He shivered. Psst! Crucible looked around. Down here. He saw that a manhole in the middle of the pavement was raised. The devil poked his head out. Come on. Through there? Yes. He hit himself through the narrow hole. Splash. He would have to put his shoes on. Expensive. Well, let's be off, said the devil. Didn't know what could get to down there along the sewers. Easiest thing there is, old man. Left here. There was no sound but the echoes of their footsteps. Crucible sways and the devil's hooves. How much further? They'd been walking for several hours. Crucible's feet were damp and he was sneezing. We're there, old man. They had come to the end of the tunnel. Before them stretched a dark valley. In the distance, Crucible could see a giant wall with a tiny door. Across the valley ran a black river. The air was tainted with sulphur. The devil removed a tarpaulin from a hump by the tunnel mouth. May I present? Giron 2. Crucible blinked. Giron 2 was a Model T Ford Crosswind Austin 7, tastefully decorated in sulphurous yellow. The devil wrenched the outside door, which fell off. They climbed in. Surprisingly, the car started after only a few swings of the starting handle. They chugged across the sulphur plain. Nice car, isn't it? 40 dragon power. Built it myself with a few bits and pieces from Earth. Trevor was springing out of the floor near a junkyard, said the devil, gritting his fangs as they clattered at speed in a cloud of sulphur. Is in fact one often surfaces under a pile of old iron. He rubbed his head. Crucible noticed that one of his horns was bandaged. They skidded to a halt by the river. The car emitted clouds of steam. A battered punt was moored by the river. The devil heard Crucible in and picked up the skulls. Pardon me, skulls. What happens to, what's his name? Sharon? We don't like to talk about it. Oh. Silence, except for the creaking of the oars. Of course, you have to replace this by a bridge. Oh, yes. Crucible looked thoughtful. A halfpenny for them? I am thinking, said Crucible, about the water that is lapping about my ankles. The devil did not look up. Here. He handed Crucible a battered mug, on which the initials BR were just discernible, and they continued. They stood in front of the gate. Crucible looked up and read the inscription. All hope abandoned, ye who enter here. No good. No? Neon lights? Oh yes. Red ones? Oh yes. Flashing? Oh yes. They entered. Down, boy. Get off Crucible. 3 tongues licked Crucible simultaneously. Back to your kennel, boy. Whining, Kerber slunk off. You must excuse him, said the devil, as he picked Crucible up and dusted him down. He's never been the same since he took a lump out of Orpheus's leg. It didn't say that in the story. I know. Pity, because the real story is much more, interesting. But that's neither here nor there. Crucible took stock of his surroundings. They appeared to be standing in a hotel lobby. In one wall was a small alcove containing a desk, on which a huge residence book, covered in dust, lay open. The devil opened a small wooden door. This way. What? My office. Crucible followed up the narrow stairway, the boards creaking under his feet. The devil's office, perched precariously on the walls of hell, was rather dilapidated. There was a patch of damp in one corner, where the sticks had overflowed, and the paper was peeling off the wooden walls. A rusty stove in the corner glowed red hot. Crucible knows the floor seemed to be covered with old newspapers, bills, and recipes for various spells. The devil dropped down into a commodious armchair, while Crucible sat down in a tortuous cane chair, which all but collapsed under his weight. "Drink?" said the devil. "Don't mind if I do," said Crucible. "Very nice drink, this. Your own recipe?" "Yes. Quite simple. 2 pints bat blood, 1... I say, you've got a funny color. Feel all right?" "Yeah, quite all right, thanks. Shall we get down to business?" "All right. Well, as I see it, our main difficulty will be to make the public take hell, and for you that matter, seriously. I mean, the generally accepted theory of hell is a sort of a fiery furnace, with you prodding lost souls with a pitchfork and hordes of demons and whatnot running around yelling. Hey, that reminds me, where's everybody's soul? Who? Lost souls and demons and banshees and whatnot. Oh, them. Well, like I said, no one's been down here for 2,000 years, except that nit Dante, and all the souls down here gradually work their way up to purgatory and thence to... well, the demons all got jobs elsewhere." "Tax collectors," murmured Crucible. "Quite so. As for fiery furnaces, the only one still in working order is the Mark IV over there in the corner. Used for my killing efforts, but not for much else." "I see. Have you got a map of hell handy?" "I think so." The devil rummaged in an old oak desk behind him and produced a roll of yellow parchment. "This is the newest map I have." "It'll do." Let me see. I take it this is where we came in." "Yes, that shading is the sulfur plane." "That's good. I'm sure the Acme Mining Company would give a lot to have the mining rights." "Oh, yes?" "Of course, we'd have to build a proper road over it for the increased transport. Got a large tunnel dug down from Earth. Coffee bar here, dance hall there, racetrack at the far end, bowling alley over. We could put a fun fair here, living room for a restaurant here, ice cream stalls here and here and here. All that jazz band there. Get in touch with your demons and offer them higher wages to help run the place. Get Orpheus to organize a jazz band. I'm sure Apollo would oblige." And so it continued. Soon the map was covered in symbols representing everything from a dance hall to a cycle track. Then they sat back and discussed stage 1, putting hell in the public eye. Of course, there were difficulties at first. The time when the devil materialized in the middle of the pitch on Cup final day springs to mind. Still, I get a furnished by splash in all the popular newspapers. Famous breweries suiting for loss of custom, since most of the Cup final spectators signed the pledge after seeing him. Telephone lines all over the world smoldered, melted, and slowly fused together as Crucible was placed with orders from the big financial magnates. Advertising firms fought for the devil's patronage. Work on the London Hell Tunnel was progressing fast under Crucible's supervision. The devil moved in with him, saying all the cranes and bulldozers and whatnot were making hell hell. "See how Kerberos loves his yummy doggy. Your dog can have that glossy coat, those glistening fangs, those 3 heads, if you feed him yummy doggy, and the handy 2-inch tin. Kerberos says yummy doggy is scrumptious. Ask for yummy doggy. Men of distinction smoke coffin nails. Tell me, Lucifer, why do you smoke coffin nails? I like that cool, fresh feeling, the flavor of the superb tobacco, the 50 pounds your firm's paying me for those corny adverts. Tell me, sir, what are your views on the color bar?" "Well, I mean to say, well, that is, what do you think of the younger generation?" "Well, yes, definitely. Do you agree that violence television is responsible for the deplorable increase in the nation's crime statistics?" "Well, no. Say, yes. I mean, no. Thank you very much, sir, for coming here tonight and giving your views on topics of immediate concern." "Thank you." Well, ladies and gentlemen, tune in next week for another Crucible surveyed the company dispassionately. There was the usual bevy of disgruntled backbenchers, would-be starlets, board reporters, and of course the usual fatigue party of guards, all sipping themselves horizontal on third-rate champagne. A motley and mottled crowd. Crucible, who was becoming quite an expert on crowded atmospheres of late, diagnosed this one as a particularly fruity blend of stale smoke, of fleur de mal, and methane, not to mention the occasional waft of carbon monoxide. Turned to the devil, who was performing wonders with the uh, cocktail shaker. This, my friend, is what is laughingly called a party, a ritual still found in the better parts of Belgravia. Oh yeah, crew. This is the bestest jacket I had in 500 years, and I'm gonna make the best of it. A ruffled clump indicated the devil had made the best of it to the best of his abilities. It was a crisp November morning. In the secluded thoroughfare that was Cranberry Avenue, the birds were singing, the leaves were falling, and Crucible was having his breakfast. Between mouthfuls of bacon and mushrooms, he gave the newspapers the swift port to starboard. The gossip column caught his eye. He remembered the devil. Throwing the paper in the waste bin, he wiped his muslin napkin and patted into the spare bedroom. Chaotic was the scene that met his eye. Paper hats, balloons, and streamers lying on the room, and there were bottles, not a few. The devil himself, still clad in Crucible's second-best dress suit, was sprawled across the bed, snoring loudly. "Wakey, wakey!" shouted Crucible heartlessly. The effect was impressive. The devil shot a clear 2 feet in the air and came down, clutching his head. The language he had used turned Crucible's ears bright red. Crucible busied himself in the kitchen and returned with a cup of loud coffee. "Here." "Ah, not so loud." "Oh, that's better. What happened last night?" "You tried the effects of vodka and green chartreuse." "Ow." "Quite. Now, best foot, hoof forward. Hell's opening ceremony is at 12. I can't go on like this. Ah. It's all right. Just have to drink gallons of black coffee and bear it. Now, come on." Jazz resounded along the walls of hell. Pop music echoed along the dark corridors, mingling with the click of slot machines. Espresso coffee poured in rivers. The scream of hard-up motorcycles mingled with the screams of banshees, both ghostly and human, guitar strumming for the use of. The growth of hell's popularity only equaled the growth of the devil's bank account. Up high in his balcony in the wall of hell, the devil poured himself a drink of water and took 3 tranquilizer pills. The storm raged. For the last month, the northern hemisphere had been beset by thunderstorms unequaled in the records of mankind. The weathermen spent all their working days testing their corn, seaweed, and other oracles, but had to confess themselves to the loss. In the large study of his new country house, Crucible sat on a log on the fire and settled himself dismal in his armchair. His conscience, perforce the most robust and troubled in Europe, was troubling him. Something was wrong with his Hades business. Certainly not on the monetary side, for his commission over the last 3 weeks had been exceedingly generous, as his country house, 2 cars, 5 racehorses, and 1 yacht plainly stated. Hell had been a great success. The top people were going to flock there and had the approval of the establishment. But something was wrong. Something to do with these heavy storms. Somewhere in his mind, the inner Crucible, equipped with wings, hail, and harp, was bouncing up and down on Crucible's conscience. The thunder murmured. The devil appeared, looking very agitated, and ran to Crucible's cocktail cabinet. He poured himself a belladonna and whirled round the Crucible. "I can't stand any more of it!" he screamed. His hand was shaking. "More of what?" "Your lot! They throw my home into bedlam! Noise, noise, noise! I can't get a good night's sleep! You also have him tied for over 2 weeks? Nothing but yelling tea. One moment. They say to disturb you? Very funny. Why not close hell for a while and take a holiday? I've tried, heaven knows. I've tried. Will they leave? No, a bunch of thugs threaten to get me if I try to close their noisy, blaring paradise. Can't move but being mobbed by savage hordes of autograph hunters. I'm famous. You can't get a bit of peace. It's hell down there. The devil was now kneeling on the floor, tears streaming down his face. You've got to help me. Hide me. Do something. Oh, God, I wish. The thunder split the heavens in twain. The sky echoed and re-echoed with the sound. Crucible clumped in his chair, his hands clapped over his bursting eardrums. Then there was silence. The devil lay in the middle of the floor, surrounded by light. Then the thunder spoke. Do you wish to return? Oh, yes, sir. Please. I'm sorry. I apologize for everything. I'm sorry about that apple. Truly I am. On the bookshelf, a bust of Charles Darwin shattered to fragments. I'm sorry. Please take me back, please. Come. The devil vanished. Outside, the storm subsided. Crucible rose, shaken, from the chair. Staggering over to the window, he looked at the fast-current evening sky. Then out of the sunset came a hand and arm of light, raised in salute. Crucible smiled. Don't mention it, sir. It was a pleasure. He closed the window. The end.